Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unlocking AI Value series. I'm Aaron Kopel. Hi there. Here with Gervais Johnson, who goes by Jay. And in each episode, we're tackling real questions about how AI is actually being used in business, what's working, what's not, and where things are headed. So if you're trying to make sense of AI for your business, you're in the right place. All right. Welcome back, everyone, for the next episode of Unlocking AI Value. Here with Jay, as usual. Jay, our topic for today is about leadership alignment in AI. So, what are you seeing out there with this topic?
I see a lot of changes happening. I always say AI is not about technology transformation, it's about business transformation and human transformation, right? Leadership is a key component to that, right? So leading through any kind of transformation or adoption of new innovations or technology needs strong leadership. And I think AI is critical for a strong leadership
Yeah.
need.
Yeah, and so using AI as a leader, right? Understanding how the tools can help you individually as a leader, that's pretty important. But also, how does that lead into being able to lead an organization that is starting to either adopt AI, become AI first, become AI native, whatever you want to say. But leadership becomes critical. And I think because things are moving so fast and enabling a lot more transparency of things, it's starting to expose uh, leadership capabilities, whether you're a good leader, bad leader.
Mhm.
So what are you seeing out there with that aspect of it?
Well, I think you're correct. I think now, I always used to say you have to lead by example, right? And you have to be transparent and open and honest and also have some experience, right? But I think AI is one of those things that leaders can use to help them. So they can use these Gen AI tools and platforms and everything to help them do their work, right? There's also AI agents and so forth out there where they'll walk you through how to work through critical conversations with your employees and everything. So there's a lot of help they can get. At the same time, since things are moving so fast and you are really under the gun for speed to value and everything, this is where creating strong, agile and product teams and trusting them to know what to do and how to do it and everything. We said years ago micromanagement is gone, right? Well, now that's even more true,
Yeah,
right? So you have to give them the
needs to be gone.
guardrails. Exactly. You have to give them the guardrails. You have to give them the focus, and the motive and the forward transaction. But then you've got to be checking on them every now and then. But you've got to let them go and find their wonder and create the value.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Man. It's something we've been talking about in the agile world for a long time, trying to create those, really empowered, self-organizing teams that can tackle problems, make their own decisions and things like that. And they understand what's been delegated to them, where the guide rails are, how big of decisions can they make, things like that. But, we've been talking about that for a long time, and that we need to get the managers sort of out of the weeds there to allow that to happen, to take advantage of that potentially awesome self-organizing team. But I think this is just exposing it more. If the managers haven't made that shift to get out of the weeds and start thinking at a higher level, more strategically, more visionary,
Mhm.
to start, leading from the top about where should we go, like what's the vision of where we're going, what's the strategy, what are the goals, and stay out of the weeds. If they haven't done that yet, this starts to expose it pretty fast because all it's doing is holding back these AI powered teams from moving as fast as they can, right? So the
Right,
managers, oftentimes, if they're still there in the weeds, are just tripping up everyone, right?
right. And this is also, I think it's starting to expose uh, your professional domain or business domain expertise. So now, I think the expectations now, I'll just take an example. Let's say I'm in a large insurance company and I'm responsible for policy administration. I'm an expert in policy administration. I've been working in insurance companies, P&C, for many years. The expectation now is that you, as a policy administration expert, would be looking to see how AI can be used in policy administration, right? And how it can improve it and so forth. But more than that, now you're going to be looking at your workflows, your processes, and everything to see how you can automate and augment them and how you can do it across system boundaries and functional boundaries. So from policy administration to claims, we've done this before, but now AI can help do it even better, right? And that whole customer journey and customer experience of insurance companies, we don't like to pay for our insurance policies, but we know it's a needed thing in our society, right? But as a customer, if I have to file a claim or something, I want it to be a smooth transition process, and I want to be a happy customer, right? So those things I think is what's changing now is leaders in these areas now. Not only do they have to be experts in their domain, now they have to be an expert on how do I apply AI to my domain to make it better.
And how to partner across those other domains of the business, right? And so that's, I think, the
Exactly.
biggest opportunity for leaders is to, they take that expertise they have that's now enhanced by AI, but they have to
Mhm.
go up a level, really thinking more strategically, not
Yes.
just in their own silo, but across the business. How do I partner better? How do I,
Yes.
to your point, start looking bigger picture so we can create more streamlined and customer friendly solutions that give a good
Right.
experience, make things easy on everyone, right?
Right.
On the customer side as well as the company side to make things easier. And so leaders really at the forefront of making that happen, right? Finding those opportunities.
Right. So if you take pharmaceutical business,
Mhm.
so you those who see the news right now and been watching it, they're spending and investing a lot into AI in the R&D and the medicine discovery part and small molecules and large molecules, right? But that has a domino effect across the company. Because if I do and find these great medicines and molecules for these new the therapy and everything, and I can do that faster, that means I got to move everything else faster. I got to move the commercialization faster. I got to move manufacturing faster. I've got to be prepared across the whole value stream of the company, value streams, so that I can automate those touch points, right? So that I can speed up the everything. So that's an example of how leaders have to look through all of
Yeah.
that and provide that leadership through all those touch points.
Yeah, and you think about the flow of work through any organization, right? The job of the managers in that situation is to understand where are the bottlenecks, where are the kinks in the hose of the flow of value. And I can imagine the pharmaceutical industry, it's decades long, R&D kind of initiatives to figure things out. Well, if that, and the rest of the business moves accordingly to that. Well, if that starts to go faster, and let's say it doubles the speed instead of taking 10 years, it takes 5 now, well, that means everything else has to catch up and go twice as fast as well, or faster, right?
That's right.
And so, pharmaceutical companies, like I said, my perception is they operate on decades, right? Where, other companies that might operate on, a couple of years in the past, but now it's getting faster. Like everything's speeding up, and it seems like everything's operating on quarters or maybe half years now, where they used to be multiple years or 5 years or decades.
Right.
So really understanding that, like, and as a manager and leader, then part of the job is not just to start managing and leading people differently, but it's starting to look for those improvement opportunities across the organization where you're really becoming an expert in the flow system of your
Hmm.
company, right? And looking for opportunities there.
Exactly. So I think to your point, now leaders have to be much more strategic. They have to be much more holistic across the company, everything. And then the other new thing that's very interesting that's happening with leaders is this they're using AI to help them find opportunities that never existed before, new revenue streams, right? So John Deere is a perfect example of that. We know them. They build tractors and farming equipment. Well, now they have a whole new revenue stream of data to the farmers and everything so that they can help manage their crops, everything. So now that's part of their new venture capital, if you will, for revenue, right? So now leaders, not only do they have to keep the operations going, figure out where AI can help there, but now is there opportunities for us to produce brand new products, brand new services, brand new revenue streams?
I think that's the one of the big shifts I think for leadership over the last 5 or 10 years beyond AI even has been the shift from just trying to cost cut and trying to be super efficient to looking for opportunities and really innovating and looking for revenue generating opportunities or opportunities within the organization to collaborate better so that we can produce better solutions, right?
Mhm.
Improve customer experience and all those kind of things. So rather than just cost cutting and efficiency, leaders shifting to that mindset of growth and opportunity and
Mhm.
innovation. And of course, they lead from the top. Hopefully they're the example, and everyone else starts to follow suit. Where we start looking for those opportunities, right? As well.
Right. And
Yeah,
I would like to add the leaders also have to make the hard decisions because you're never going to have enough money, enough time, and enough people and enough agents, AI
yeah,
agents to do everything.
yeah.
So you're going to have to make prioritization decisions on your investments, right? Because you have to keep operations going, but at the same time, you have to innovate
Yeah,
and bring new stuff in, right?
yeah,
So now they're going to have to make harder decisions faster.
yeah. Harder decisions faster and probably iteratively, incrementally as they go. It's not just, hey, once a year we have to look at the budget and make decisions. It's a much more frequent cycle now, right? And
That's
so,
right.
yeah, yeah, they got to get out there and really be paying attention at the higher level about what's going on because we need to make pivots more often, right?
Right, right. And firms, I think a lot of firms still do annual budgeting,
Yeah,
and I don't think that's going to handle it anymore.
yeah,
I
that's
think you got to do at least quarterly budgeting,
yeah.
you know.
Which is,
But
it's something we've again been talking about in the agile world for a long time. Like I think, if you go from traditional waterfall to agile, there was a big speed improvement in terms of decision making and timeliness of those kind of things about allocating budget and getting approvals from business people or authorizing projects or things like that. But that's shifted even more now. I mean, everything's going much faster. So I think agile was just the first step towards that. But now with AI, that's just enhancing it. So really, putting the pressure on people to make more timely decisions quickly and then pay attention to the results. And part of the challenge is if they haven't gone to agile ways of working, where they've got more continuous perspective about how value goes, and they've got feedback loops coming back to inform them about what happened. Or if you don't have those things in place, you're just kind of behind.
right.
So having those agile ways of working, that process and that thinking that comes
Hmm.
along with it, that mindset, really, I think is going to do well for those companies that have gone down that path as they start to adopt more AI strategically because they've sort of set themselves up for success with those kind of approaches. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Well, this is another quick episode, so hopefully helpful for those folks out there about, again, leadership alignment in AI and the shifting mindset of how leaders need to operate in this fast-moving environment. So, hope you enjoyed the episode and tune in for the next one. So, thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Hi, thanks for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And drop a comment with topics or questions you'd like us to cover. Thank you. See you later.